11. This is a big one because remember I talked about quiet on the set? Well, this entails opening up your mouth when something has happened and crying aloud respectfully. Now, I can't say that it might be respectfully if you find out someone has harmed your child. Yeah, you might have to pray the prayer of faith because you might want to get physical. I understand that. Now, I know I said that I would like to be a vigilante, but in all truth, my hope is not to be a vigilante. I can't say in that moment what I might be. I would have to have God to help me if I walked in on something because people they have reacted to finding their children being abused and people have hurt people. That's the first reaction. So I'm not giving a license to do that, but I'm saying you do get to cry aloud and you do get to compose yourself because you're going to need your sync. If you walk on the scene or if you find out that your child has been sexually abused, they're going to need to co-regulate with you. You're going to need to bring safety and you're going to need to be okay. So what that means is you're going to need to talk to a professional probably or a pastor so that you can gather yourself because remember, you're the lighthouse. You are co-regulating with your child. And while your child is confused, doesn't have the capacity to integrate the experience into their psyche or their physical being, you get to walk them through that. But first, you must walk through it. So that does also mean that if you have any pre-existing trauma, you're going to be triggered. And that's why it's so important that you do your work so that you can be accessible to your child and walk your child through the healing process. Children are resilient when they are tended to and when they are given help early. But it does take the courage, I'm talking courage, to report to a professional. Even if you suspect and you don't have the evidence, but you have enough concrete information that it doesn't sound right, you don't have to do the investigation. You can report it. Now, you can, when you know without a doubt it has happened, you get to also report that to the police. You get to report it. The challenge with that is in a family setting, people may feel like, how could you do that? We're family. Well, how could they do that? Their family. No one wants to talk about that. You are sometimes labeled as the problem starter, or you are the one who's breaking up the family, or it's your fault, or maybe, all of those things that the children are faced with after reporting. It shapes their healing process. So we want to be careful. But a lot of times there's a lot of backlash for families setting a boundary and saying no more. No more. No, this is inappropriate. Everyone in the family has a right to be safe, and we're no longer going to tolerate this. I mean, how many people does someone have to molest before someone makes a report? This is a tip. Make a report in the church. Let the police do the investigating, but you got to make a report. Let them figure it out. Make a report. Make a report. And some of us are mandated reporters, so we're going to make a report. We have to make people around us fear that they're not safe as predators, and we have to make the victim feel safe that we are invested in their recovery. Now, if they're lying, that also will be on them, and that will be on the legal system to, take care of that. But we don't want to falter and say, oh, they're just lying. No, make a report. Make a report. And most of us know our children, and most of us know, how they speak and what they speak about. So it's important to listen, get the details. And as you unfold that, you will see that why would they make this up? And why do they have all this sexual information? But make a report. Pastor, I don't care if you are a pastor. Make a report. I don't care if you're a bishop. Make a report. I don't care if you're a mother or father. Make a report. I don't care, sibling, cousin, whomever. Make a report and let everyone get the help that they need. And if it is you and your child, it is your responsibility. Don't leave that up to the school. Don't leave that up to the pastor. Don't leave that up to anyone else. You are the first responder and you are responsible to make a report. Make a report. Those are some tips. While we can't 100% guarantee that our children will be safe, those are just some things to look for. And a lot of what happened on Quiet on the Set, it happened because parents weren't noticing that there were groomers. There were people who had inappropriate relationships with children. Where's the spider sense? Children and adults are not on the same level. I don't care if they work together. I don't care if they are sports coaches. They should not have relationships as friends. There should be a gulf between them. It should be strictly supervised and protected. Watch people who want to be friends with kids, because that is an indication that they have sexually arrested development and even socially arrested development. If you want to be friends with a child, something is wrong with you. You have socially arrested development where you're childish and you want to laugh and play. Now, I like to play too. I'm a play therapist. I can play, but I'm not trying to be friends with children. When I play with kids, I'm playing toys appropriately. But when you're being a confidant and you're trying to build this special relationship with a child and holding information from parents, you're out of line and you have sexually arrested development and socially arrested development. And that's how they got away with it, because you're wondering, how could an adult stoop to that level? Well, in their mind, they identify as a teenager or a school-age child. That's the problem with that whole identification thing. Just because you identify in your mind doesn't make it true, because you are old enough to know better. You're an adult. So we're going to hold you accountable as an adult. And you're showing us a red flag that you enjoy being around children and you enjoy, having these conversations. You'd rather be around children than adults. Something in the water is not clean. You have arrested behavior, socially or sexually. Now, I'm not saying that you always have sexually arrested development when you have socially arrested development, but it can happen. It can happen. So I want to be clear about that. We want to be able to know that that's how they got in. That's how the door was open. Everyone liked the person. They were child, quote unquote, friendly. No, you need to have some boundaries, because if you have appropriate boundaries, kids won't like you as much as they would if you were on their level. If you want to be the cool coach, the cool youth minister, the cool, family member, whatever, adult, no, it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate. I'm going to tell you guys this in my closing. I'm going to disclose something. As a teenager, I had a family member who all of a sudden, it's like they woke up and they were fascinated with me. And I was like, what in the world? I could feel it. It was so thick. It was like a drug, like something came over the person, and they were just like, oh, like all of a sudden, I always look the same, but oh, your hair is so pretty. Oh, you're so beautiful. And oh, and oh, I'll teach you how to drive if you give me a hug, or I'll teach you how to drive if you give me a kiss. And I was just like disgusted. I was disgusted, but that's not everybody's story, because I had a very strong self-esteem and a very clear understanding of right and wrong. And so it didn't work with me, but it happens. It happens. That grooming, I'll give you a role. I'll give you this. I'll give you that. People are not well. Family members are not well. People are just not operating at their best self, the self that God designed. So it's important It's important that you be careful because that could have ended a horrible way for me. But I'm so grateful that that it didn't. And the person moved away and I never had to see them again. And it was so funny because not funny, but it was so pervasive that I had a brother who was warning my parents and saying, this person is in love with her. And I don't remember anyone taking precaution, but maybe that's why maybe the person moved away or whatever. But there was never a conversation. But I did reach out to people at school and they were telling me what I should do and how to keep myself safe. And by God's grace, I was safe. Unfortunately, some of you were not safe and you were let down and you found out that we really do have to watch family members. We have to watch people at church. We have to watch people at school. We have to watch people at sporting events. We have to watch and pray because there are predators who are watching us and watching our children, watching to see, are we watching our children? How do you treat your children? Some people watch to see if you're not loving and if you're dismissive and you don't really care about your child, you leave them with anyone, boom, that's their interest, their entrance. And now they have successfully watched, prayed, and sexually exploited your child. It's horrible. There is recovery. Our second session is going to deal with the recovery portion, just some of the things to do to help you to begin on the journey of recovery. It's been wonderful. Thank you for stopping by and listening and spending time. And I pray that this blesses you and empowers you because knowledge is power and God's people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. God bless you.